Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. I'm Chris.
I'm Sam.
And this is the College Football Big Game Show. We are here every Wednesday. We are going to break down the biggest games in college football. We're going to pick 5. It is our discretion as to what constitutes a big game or not. If you think we're doing a bad job, if we're leaving games off, we only got 5 to pick from. Now, after that, we're going to hit a rapid fire. We're going to hit as many games as we can. When we do that, it won't be detailed. It won't be as dialed in or as much information as the big games. We're going to pick all the big games. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we love those gambling picks, but we're going to give you an edge. We're going to give you a lean one way or the other. We're glad you're here. Thank you for joining us on these Wednesday shows. If you like what you see, hit the like button. Smash it. Share it out the video. We appreciate everybody helping us out with that. Subscribe to the channel. This is the one-stop shop for all of your gambling needs. Is sportsbookreview.com. That's the only place you need to go. You'll get all the odds. You'll get all the information. We've got articles over there. We've got a team of people that are working around the clock to give you as much content as possible. If you don't like college football and somehow you found this video some way or another, thanks for joining in. We appreciate it. Stick around. We'll have some NFL. We'll have some hockey. We'll have some baseball. We'll have some basketball. We'll have some soccer. We'll have some UFC. We'll have everything you need at sportsbookreview.com for all of your sports gambling stuff. But for right now, Sam, let's get into maybe the biggest game of the season, and we get it week 1, Saturday night. We are going to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we have the number 3 Georgia Bulldogs against the number 2 Clemson Tigers.
I think it's 3 and 5, but I mean, they're 2 top 5 teams without a doubt.
That's right.
And we talked about this on Monday's show. I mean, this is absolutely the potential to be a playoff matchup, down in January. There's so much to dig into. Both teams are phenomenal. They're both great on offense. They're great on defense. A couple questions I have are, the health of Georgia's wide receivers. Eric Gilbert and George Pickens are out. Dominic Blaylock's coming back from an ACL. He's questionable right now. I'd be surprised if he played. So their wide receiver room is a little shallower, but JT Daniels can do a lot with the other 5-star talent that's on that team. My biggest question is, will either team be able to establish the rush? Because both of the defenses are excellent. I think whichever team can really get that run going and start controlling the clock a little bit, I think that team's going to have the edge.
Yeah, and with Clemson losing Travis Etienne in the offseason to the NFL, we've got a new running back group coming in for Clemson that is going to I guess the whole new backfield with DJ Uiagalelei being the leader for the offense as well. Lot of new faces, but we assume all these guys are loaded. We think these coaching staffs are unbelievable. You're right to bring up the injuries that Georgia's dealing with. Clemson doesn't seem to have any of those problems starting the season off, and that might be where the edge is, and that might be where the line is with Clemson. Let's go through the line.
Well, but before we do that, there's one other X factor. I don't know how much to make of it, but Darion Kendrick was a cornerback for Clemson, transferred to Georgia, so he knows this Clemson team inside and out. How much information can one guy bring over as far as schemes and whatnot? I don't know, but he has had plenty of practice against Clemson's wide receivers. I don't know how big of a factor that is, but it is something that kind of caught my eye.
Yeah, that's always interesting when you get to play an old team, and I guess that's why a lot of conferences don't like interconference transfer rules. I say phooey to all of those things.
That's all out the window now. I mean,
yeah, I love bringing over a spy just for a thing. That is an old Bill Belichick trick. He will sign a guy that he's got to play for next week off of a practice squad just to know what they're working on, and he'll cut that guy the next week. Does not care. Let's get into the line here. This line opened at around Clemson -3. It has stayed there no matter what. I keep thinking this line is going to get bigger every time I hear of a new injury from Georgia. And apparently the bookmakers are just – we think this is a field goal game. we give the edge to Clemson, and we're not moving this joker.
Yeah.
Now, the total, I also think it's an interesting number, 51. 51 is it's a big number for two teams that we think are going to be really good on the defensive side of the ball.
Now, on the flip side, I mean, both teams could be really, really good offensively. So 51, that's kind of where I see the real intrigue is, will one of the defenses really step up? Will both of the defenses step up? Uiagalelei has some experience. I mean, Trevor Lawrence did get COVID last year, had to miss some time. So Uiagalelei got in there and got some action. JT Daniels is definitely the more seasoned quarterback. Honestly, I'm kind of liking the under on this.
I think I'm with you. That's where I'm leaning as well. It's not a love play.
Right.
To make a pick on this game, if you tell me I got to make a pick, Chris, which I'm making us make a pick, I'm gonna go Georgia plus the 3. I'd like the head start if I got to make a play on the total. I like under as well. I think, it's a big game. There's a real good chance we get the first quarter, maybe the first half of these two teams just feeling each other out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Week one, I mean, it's the first game of the season. We saw last week in week 0, the beginning of these games can be really, really sloppy.
That's right. I'm expecting sloppy play. These are still 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, by the way.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like a little low scoring is simply because so much of the firepower, those unbelievable receivers for Georgia that aren't going to be there, I think that's got to be worth a couple of points. And, I could be wrong on this, could miss it both ways. Not a gambling pick of mine. We'll get to our gambling picks at the very end of the show. You got to stick around for that. But if you're making me make a play, I'm taking Georgia. I'm taking the head start, and I think I'd take the under. Sam, what do you got?
I am actually going the other way. I'm liking Clemson. I mean, they're so talented, and
they are.
Yeah, it's a field goal. They're the favorites, but I think they have a slightly stronger defense, and I just it's a gut play.
Well, they have,
but I like the under as well.
Yeah. So we said this on the opening line show that came out Monday. The best coach on the field is Brett Venables.
Yes.
Okay, you're talking about, you got two of college football's best head coaches in the game. Neither one of those guys are as good of a coach as Brett Venables. I just don't believe that. I think he's the best coach on this field. I think that's I think that's where the line's coming in at. But maybe neither here nor there. That's the biggest game of the weekend.
100%. Yeah.
I would say it's all downhill from there. But, man, it is not.
No,
Thursday
not
night, we are going to get kicked off. This video is dropping Wednesday evening. You got one day, and then after that, you're going to have Ohio State at Minnesota. Ohio State is minus 14. That total is 64. Substantially bigger number.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at a way different kind of ball game, Samuel. What do we got?
I mean, we got one of the best teams in the country traveling to Minnesota.
That's right.
Ohio State they're loaded. Yes, CJ Stroud is going to be making his first ever collegiate pass in this game. But he's going to be throwing to Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, two of the best wide receivers playing today. Master Teague, Travion Henderson are going to be able to run the ball. Last year, Minnesota's defense gave up 6.9 yards per play and 6.3 yards per rush. That defensive rushing stat, they were 124th in the country in rush per play given up. And last year, Ohio State got 5.9 yards per rush for number 3 in the country. I mean, Ohio State was able to run the ball last year. Yeah, Trey Sermon's gone, but Trey Sermon wasn't necessarily, the Big Ten championship game aside, I'm still having nightmares of Trey Sermon running through my Wildcat defense. But, Master T was the number 1 guy last year. Travion Henderson's going to come in. They're going to be able to run the ball. Minnesota's defense struggles against the run. On the flip side, and we mentioned this a little bit on Monday, Minnesota's strength is running the ball. Their offensive line is fantastic. Mohamed Ibrahim is the returning Big Ten running back of the year. But that's not the weakness of the Ohio State defense. Ohio State has trouble against the pass. Their secondary got burned a lot last year. They don't generate a ton of sacks. But Tanner Morgan is going to need to be able to sit back and throw the ball down the field. I just don't know who he's going to be throwing to. Rashad Bateman is not there anymore. Their wide receivers don't instill fear in the hearts of men. They're a running team. Minnesota is a running team, and I don't know that they're going to be able to do that against Ohio State.
All right, so I think I trust Minnesota to figure out the passing game. Because I think Fleck is a good coach. And I think Fleck is able to capitalize on another team's weaknesses. I don't know who these receivers are going to be.
I think we disagree on Fleck being a good coach, but that's
well, we probably do then. We probably do. I think Fleck is actually a pretty good coach. Is he the greatest coach in the world? Probably not.
He's a great inspirator. Like, people love playing for him. I just don't know how good of an actual on the field coach he is.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Here's my thought process. Ohio State's one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
I don't think Ohio State's going to be in threat of losing this game. My normal instinct is to say Ohio State's going to cover this number. They're going to cover it easily. My fear is this has backdoor written all over it. This has Ohio State being up 3 scores, 20, 25 points, something like that, 21 points, and giving up 2 garbage time touchdowns for a desperate team trying to make some noise in their home stadium at their opener of a new season to get this thing to be a 10-point game or something of that nature, and you bust your total. Or not you bust your total, you bust your spread. That's my scare. That's my fear. You put a gun to my head and you tell me I got to make a pick because I hate this game and I hate this number completely. I think I would take the home team with the points.
Really? Oh, wow.
I'm warning you now. That is just a weird feeling in the pit of my gut that I just feel like everybody in the world is going to be so jacked up to lay a boatload of money on Ohio State.
And they have already.
Weird. And they have already. And by the time we get closer to Thursday, it's going to get bigger. We're going to get closer to Thursday, and something fishy is going to happen in the fourth quarter. That's all I got. That's all I got. I think Tanner Morgan is a good enough quarterback to where if he hits somebody on a broken route wide open, these DBs are not above making a mistake to let somebody free and miss a coverage.
Right. Yeah.
And that's 7. And then you get desperate and you do the same thing again. I don't think they're a threat to win the game, but at the end of the day, you done got caught holding a bad ticket.
That being said, I don't know how Minnesota's going to be stopping Ohio State. Yeah, they might give something up. I just don't see how they're going to stop them.
That might be true.
That offense is a fully armed and operational battle station. Yes, it's a new quarterback. That, there's no question about that. But, you or I could get on the field behind Ohio State's offensive line and throw to Olave and Wilson and put up a lot of points.
Tough stretch, but maybe, yeah. Here's my question. 64 is a big number. How many points does Minnesota, because we don't think Ohio State's going to have problems scoring. I agree on that. How many points does Minnesota need to score for us to bust 64?
They're going to need to get in the 20s.
Okay, so because you think Ohio State's getting into the 40s, right?
I do.
Okay, 10 points a quarter, that's not unheard of in today's college football from a dominating offensive juggernaut like Ohio State's been the last couple of years.
The only thing that might trip me up is if Minnesota is able to establish the run, if they are able to kind of drain the clock, if they can keep it away from Ohio State's offense, which is a possibility. Like I say, their running game is really, really good, but that is the strength of Ohio State's defense. So, if Minnesota can get the ball going, then I could see it going under, because if Minnesota can shorten the game, that is not only their path to winning, but that is easily the path to hitting the under.
Well, now hang on. I want to take what you just said right there,
okay,
and I want to expand on that a little bit. That might be Ohio State's best option as well. If they feel like they're up by 3 scores, they sit on this lead because they got a big boy team coming into Columbus next weekend. And is this a thing where we sandbag a little bit and we hold a bunch of plays back? Why break open the whole playbook against a team we're kind of dominating and bullying?
Because it's a conference game.
Yeah, but if you're winning the game, beating them by 30 or beating them by 10 doesn't change anything.
But at that point, I think if you're gonna pull the dogs off, if you're gonna rein it in, it's gonna be in the third or fourth quarter, and you've probably shown what you're worried about not showing. If you're Ohio State, your number one concern, I think, has to be getting to the Big Ten championship.
We disagree there. We disagree there. While that's true, if they get to the Big Ten championship and the Big Ten has cannibalized itself, everybody has 3 losses but Ohio State. And Ohio State is sitting as a 1-loss team, and that is an ugly loss to Oregon in Columbus. That could be the difference between them not getting invited to a table of 4 and them getting invited to a table of 4.
We shall see. I mean,
because I'm going to tell you this, a 1-loss Georgia team or a 1-loss Alabama team is getting in over a 1-loss Ohio State team. I will guarantee you that today right here. 1 loss. So they lose to Oregon. That's the difference between they better hope Georgia or Bama loses 2 games. They better hope it.
Yeah, maybe.
So I will take Ohio or Minnesota and the points in this one. Scares me a little bit. I'm a little towards the over.
I'm on the Buckeyes. Yeah.
That's the smart place to be. I mean, it's just hard to step in front of these freight trains. I'm not afraid of doing it. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do it all the time, but mainly because I just don't care enough about winning to bet on a team that I hate.
It makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach to say that.
I'm honest with the fans about it.
You know,
I want to move to a next game. I think this is going to be one of the funnest games of the weekend. Okay, this is going to be probably an old school Big Ten slug the hell out of them. We've got Penn State, who I think is a massive rebound from last year, going against Wisconsin, who's going to be a massive rebound team from last year. They're going to Wisconsin. This is the first time Madison's been able to have fans in over a year. I think those guys are going to be lubed up. I think they're going to be tuned up, and I think that place is going to be crazy. This might be the craziest atmosphere Penn State's going to have the entire season. Wisconsin is a 5.5-point favorite. That line has moved on us. And the total, this is a Big Ten total. This is sitting at 50. We're not getting to the 60s with these two teams.
No.
What do you think about this game? What do you like about this game?
I like the defense for both teams. I mean, Wisconsin, I think, is the best defense in the Big Ten. Penn State's is up there. A couple interesting notes. Penn State, Kirk Ciarrocca was their offensive coordinator last year. Sean Clifford regressed. I mean, there's just no questioning that Ciarrocca could not do at Penn State what he did at Minnesota prior to that. Ciarrocca is gone. They went and hired Mike Yurcich, who's the guy they wanted to hire last year, but he was the OC at Texas, and Texas wouldn't let him go. Coaching change at Texas. Yurcich is available. James Franklin goes to get him. The hope is that he can get Sean Clifford back on the right track. Penn State's bread and butter is their running game. Wisconsin's bread and butter is their running game. Graham Mertz last year had an up and down season. Yeah, he dominated a terrible Illinois team in week 1, got COVID, had some injuries, was shaky from there on out. Wisconsin doesn't really have the wide receivers that are name brand wide receivers. You're not going to go and be looking for a first round, second round, third round, even fourth round necessarily NFL draft Wisconsin wide receiver. They're going to run the ball, and what they have, their starting running back is Clemson transfer Ches Malusi, I think. I completely butchering that name. I apologize for that. But you're getting a Clemson transfer coming in who won the job over the guy who was there last year. But they're going to be carries for everyone. They're going to run the ball. Wisconsin is known for their offensive line. They're known for running the ball. That's what Paul Chryst does. That's what Wisconsin does.
Who do you like in this game?
I like Wisconsin.
Minus the 5.5?
Minus the 5.5. Yeah.
That's so scary.
It is
Wisconsin. But they are my favorite Big Ten team, Sam. They have been since I was a child. I like this school. I like this place. I kind of don't like Penn State as a fan. I think I would take the 5.5.
Yeah.
It scares me. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a fun game. Let me tell you what scares me about this over. I think I might go over on here. And here's the reason why. There's a world where both of these teams score a defensive score. Now, if you throw 14 points on top of what I think these offenses have put up, I think you've busted the over. Now, I think you're only busting it a little because if we don't get a defensive score, I think this game is finished in the 30s, 38, 39. So I think the total is way under. But both these quarterbacks are not above trying to make something happen, and both of these teams have a defense. They have speed on the defense that if they catch the ball in open space, it's going the other way, and you're not bringing them down. Offensive linemen aren't catching them. So this total scares me because, like I said, if I didn't think I could get a defensive score, then I would take the under pretty easily. It's weird. It's week 1. I think we're going to have some sloppy play. I think these quarterbacks are going to make mistakes.
If this game was in October, November, hammer the under 100%.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to be so fine-tuned. These offenses will be a lot more fine-tuned than what they're going to be this Saturday, right?
Right. But weather would also be a factor in.
Oh, yeah, October.
That's what I'm thinking. Like October,
this is
November.
This is going to be a beautiful day. This should be a beautiful day in Madison.
It's going to be a gorgeous day in Madison.
Wish I was there.
Yeah, it's an 11 o'clock local kickoff, so the fans aren't going to have the entire day to get sauced.
But listen, it doesn't
it's
take
Madison.
It doesn't take when you haven't done it in a year. It doesn't take that long. All right,
it's Madison. They're already pre-gaming.
Yeah,
starting.
They'll be looped
Wednesday.
up by 8 a.m.
Yeah, it's going to be a magical atmosphere at Camp Randall, and I think 5.5. I think Wisconsin will win by a touchdown.
I think that might be because I don't think the pressure's on this game the way the pressure's on Georgia Clemson. Right. I think that game is going to be played tighter. I think these two teams are going to maybe play a little looser
if the defenses allow it.
But I think that's what makes the offense have to play loose. Is when they're restricting everything. The only way you restrict a rubber band is you just stretch the shit out of it. You just gotta at some point in time take the top off the defense and see what happens.
Okay.
Make them breathe. My opinion, maybe way off. I'm excited to see it. Next game up, we're staying in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is dominating the big games this week, Sam.
Oh yeah.
Indiana is going to Iowa. This line has come down even more. We're sitting at 3.5. Now, this is your Big Ten total that I was fully expecting at 45. I'm going to go ahead and let the rabbit out of the bag. I don't think we're getting to 45 points. I do think this game is being played in the 30s.
I disagree.
Whoa, okay. We think we're going to get some scoring.
With a caveat, is Michael Penix 100%?
Oh, I don't even know that he needs to be 100%. I think he's going to be good enough, but at the end of the day, Iowa's defense is just tough.
Sure, but I think Indiana's offense, if everything is clicking, can score. Michael Penix is dynamic enough, can make stuff happen where I could see them able to score. He's got one of his favorite targets, Ty Freifel, go back. Whop Phillier graduated. He's off to the NFL, but DJ Matthews came in from Florida State to be the other wide receiver. They got a running back transferring in from Southern Cal. They hit the transfer portal to bring in even more talent around Penix. So I could see a world where Indiana puts up some points here, and their defense is really good. Tom Allen is a defensive guy, and that defense was unworldly good last year, and I could see them being as good, if not better, this year.
Well, like I said, I'm with you on that. I like Indiana to cover.
Yeah.
I think Indiana's got a fighting shot to win this game. I like this Indiana team a lot. I'm a huge Tom Allen fan. I want last year to have been real. I do not want last year to have been some fairy tale that we got in some weird-ass COVID year, and that's not real life.
Sure.
I want Indiana to be good enough to compete for this division. We'll see on Saturday if we think they are. What do you think? Give me a pick in the game. Who are you taking, and what do you like?
I think I like Indiana to go into Kinnick and come out with a W.
God, me too. I'm being honest here. I'm struggling with is that I want that so bad that I'm trying to envision it and I'm tricking myself into it, or do I really think it's gonna happen? Because I kind of feel really confident about that.
Yeah.
I don't like that this line is getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
I mean, all the money's coming in on Indiana.
Tom Allen's got to be the most likable guy in the Big Ten. All right? Everybody in the world, if you don't have a dog in this hunt, you're betting on Tom Allen because why not? He's a great dude, and it's a great story. And Penix Jr. is a great story. So it's strange. This is no slight to Iowa. I think Iowa's one of the best teams in the Big Ten. I think there's a world where they finish as a top 10 team in the country. I mean, that's possible. I think that's out there in the ethos. They got to beat Indiana to do that week one. Now we're going to get to the last big game, and this is where the homerism comes in. Sorry. I picked the show. I make the rules. My LSU Tigers are going down to Los Angeles, and they're going to take on UCLA Bruins. This number is still going backwards. It is 3 now. It was 4 earlier in the week. We got to see UCLA play. We haven't seen LSU play in a long time. The last time they did play, though, looked pretty damn good against Florida. They looked pretty damn good against an Ole Miss football team. Both those teams we thought were good. We thought LSU was bad, and they were just a bunch of young bucks. Now, not so young. Going to Los Angeles, playing the Bruins. This number is 3. The total is 65.5, so it's the biggest total we've got in the big games that we're playing. Sam, tell me what the game's going to look like.
I don't think UCLA is as good as what we saw in week 0 against Hawaii. I think that, Zach Charbonnet did great. 6 carries, 100-plus yards, and a touchdown. Big runs for him, looked sharp. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson was not that he was off. And if you're off against a Hawaii team, what's going to happen when the LSU Tigers come to town? It's going to be a different atmosphere at the Rose Bowl. I mean, UCLA, they're giving out tickets left, right, and everywhere. Every UCLA student got a ticket. They were handing out tickets to high school kids. They're handing out tickets to first responders. They want to fill that stadium up as much as they possibly can. They're expecting 20,000 LSU fans, and I'm guessing that number is going to be even higher. I mean,
I'm about to say that I think their expectations are going to be met and exceeded. They're going to sell tickets to LSU people, I'm anxious and I'm nervous. Here's what I'm nervous about. The defense was awful last year. The defense has been completely overhauled. Okay, are they go? Because talent-wise, they got the best defense in the world. Okay, secondary should be no issue. Stingley Jr. is the best cornerback in football, and he might be one of the best DBs that we have seen in 10 years. I mean, he's that level good. He's got that kind of pedigree, but last year he didn't show it, and neither did the rest of the defense.
I mean, Bo Pelini.
Well, I understand. Listen, nobody hates that son of a bitch more than I do. Okay, listen, we're not hiding feelings here. Okay, I'm just telling you. Now that Bo's gone and we got a new DC in, we didn't get our first choice. He chose Notre Dame, which I understand and I respect. There's a big question mark to LSU fans there, simply because we have seen scheming and communication on the defensive side of the ball be so important that you took a world-class defense and you made them one of the worst defenses in the country, the dead last worst defense in the SEC outside of Vanderbilt. That is not good.
No.
I need to know that Chip Kelly is not going to do what Mike Leach did to this team last year. I think I'll know by the first quarter.
Sure.
This is one of those situations, if you don't like our play here, if you feel one way about it, don't go crazy or all in now. Get through one quarter of football and play a live line on this thing. Because I'm telling you, if LSU's struggling to stop them in the first quarter, they're going to struggle to stop them in the fourth. All right? And UCLA's probably a live dog and a live play. You won't get as good of an odds or as good of numbers there, but at least you know the answer to the question. Mm-hmm. If LSU is shutting them down in the first quarter, mark my words, there's no magic trick they're going to come up with. That means LSU's problems are solved, their holes are filled, and by the end of this game, LSU's defense is going to roll. So you'll be able to see what the offense is capable of doing. Is that UCLA defense good? Is it legit? How does Max Johnson look? All of the new toys that are going to be unleashed in this football game, all the skill talent, all the skill weapons for LSU, we saw them for UCLA against a lesser opponent. I think this is going to be one of the funnest games. I love that this game is going to be later. It's going to be at night. I'm excited about the atmosphere around it. I'm excited for my people down south being able to have a little something to look forward to for a little while. LSU has made it no bones about it. They're playing for the boot. This is the state institution of Louisiana.
Yeah.
Okay. They are playing for the state, and they are playing to kind of just give everybody 3 to 4 hours of, you know what, we're going to give you some normalcy. Mm-hmm. When this game is over with, you go back to all the problems that you got. Everything else you lost, you still lost it. But find a TV and find you a cold drink, and for 4 hours, let's watch the Tigers play. I think this team is going to kick the crap out of them. The fact that this is a short number, the fact that this is a small line has scared me all week. Sam, we're at the point where we're making picks, and I'm telling you now, it doesn't scare me anymore. I think the number is wrong.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a double-digit rout. I think this is SEC talent against Pac-12 talent. It is what it's always been. Big boy teams are going to go out there, and we're going to play big boy football against teams that aren't as big, aren't as strong, aren't as fast, and I don't think as well coached. The total at 65.5, if LSU's defense shuts them like a toilet seat, it's going under. But if they don't, I think LSU's hanging 30-35 on them. I think we're busting the 65. I think we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on Monday, and it has been interesting to see the line move. And I honestly think that is 100% because people saw what UCLA did to Hawaii. And you now it's like you have information, and that's the only information that you have. You've seen
they got a warm-up game and we didn't. And I think that's invaluable, by the way.
Sure. Absolutely. You can you make the biggest improvements from week 1 to week 2. Right? Because you've seen what the team is against someone in a different uniform. But LSU, I just think, is that much better. I love Chip Kelly. I think he's a great coach. I think UCLA is going to have a good season. But they're going over 3.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Sam, we're going to move into the rapid fire section. We have went much longer than I planned on going through the big games. We didn't even have any news to hit, and we've still stretched this thing out. Let's roll. This is how the rapid fire section is going to go. I'm going to give you a game. I'm going to tell you a little something about this game. I'm going to tell you what I feel about it. Sam's going to give you another game, and we're going to bounce this thing back and forth like a ping pong ball. If we don't hit your game, send us a text message. Our text message. Don't text me if you find my phone number. Don't do that.
Yeah, Chris's phone number is no.
Listen, you send us a tweet. You can send us a DM. My DMs are always open. You can send us something on Twitter. You can ask us anything. If we left your game off, we'll try to hit it on this Saturday live show. Get to it. I'll make some notes. Rapid fire. I'm starting off. Boise State is going down to Orlando, Florida to play Central Florida Knights. And this line is 5. I trust in Gus. I trust in Daniel Gilbert. Let me tell you who I'm worried about. I'm worried about what Boise State is going to look like. They're on their 3rd coach in like 5 years or whatever. And this is not a program that is used to a lot of turnover at the coaching position. Will Andy Avalos be able to come in and put his stamp on Boise State so quickly? What are we going to get from Hank Bachmeier? And how is he going to look against the Central Florida defense? I think they're going to be much improved from last year. They got a little experience coming back. They're not a shutdown defense. This is a team that's going to score a bunch of points, okay? Can Boise hang with them? I like the Central Knights. Minus the 5. You got a total of 68.5. I think I'd go under on that because I just don't know how much I trust Boise. Sam, next game.
Next game, we're going to Blacksburg, North Carolina, a 5.5-point favorite at Virginia Tech. Very, very simply, do you like Sam Howell or do you like Braxton Burmeister? I love what Mac Brown's been doing at North Carolina. That is, I think, clearly the second best team in the ACC. Yeah, Vatek is it's tough to go to Blacksburg and win, but only 5.5. Give me the Tar Heels.
Speaking of the second best team in the ACC, I think it could be the Miami Hurricanes. We're going to Atlanta. We've got the young buck and Bryce Young taking over for what has become a coaching tree of such at Alabama. Alabama's laying 19 points in this game. And my first thought was, if it's not in the 20s, you ride with the tide and you keep on rolling. But I like De'Aaron King. I think De'Aaron King is the real deal. I have seen this Alabama football team give up points in droves to good offenses. There's a world where Miami could keep it close. And hear me when I say close. I'm not saying have a chance to win. I'm saying don't get beat by 20. You don't get beat by 20, you can cover this number. I think I like Miami, but I'm not afraid to step in front of Mack Truck sometimes.
All right. Next game, we're going to Evanston, Illinois. My Northwestern Wildcats hosting Michigan State. I cannot pick this game just because there is no way to get around my bias. I am Northwestern through and through and through, and I know better than to bet either on or against Northwestern. I can't do it. However, I will tell you, if you're looking to make a play, this line has come so far down because all the money is coming in on Michigan State, and I cannot figure out why. I don't care that Northwestern, has one of the lowest returning production numbers in the country. That doesn't concern me at all because it doesn't take into account transfers, guys who've transferred in. Sam Dutt Miller on the defensive line sat out last season. He was one of our best defensive linemen a couple seasons prior. Hunter Johnson, the transfer from Clemson, 5-star quarterback, has had now 2 years in the Mike Bajakian offense. I'm a little concerned about the depth at running back after Cam Porter got hurt and is going to be out for the season. But Michigan State, they were bad last year. I don't care that, Northwestern went to Michigan State and that was their only loss, regular season loss last year. There's a revenge factor. There's a respect factor. Northwestern feels slighted, and nobody is picking them, and it makes me mad. But if you're looking to make a bet, like I say, I can't. I'm not going to because I cannot bet for or against my team. But my God, Northwestern is definitely 3 points better than Michigan State.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I will make the play for you.
There you go.
Take Northwestern, lay the points. Michigan State's not a good football team. If they lose Michigan State 2 years in a row, I'm done with Northwestern. Done with them completely. Anyway, neither here nor there. I'm going to the only game that matters on Sunday, which is amazing that we're going to get a little bit of college football on Sunday afternoon. I guess it's Sunday evening, Sunday night. This is Notre Dame going to Florida State. This Notre Dame football team is retooling and revamping a lot. I have no idea what Mike Norvell is going to look like. Let me tell you the struggles that Mike Norvell is going to have. Mike Norvell still hasn't let us know. Is he going to start the red shirt quarterback of Jordan Travis, or is he going with once my favorite player in all of college football, Mackenzie Milton? I want to see Mackenzie Milton play football again at a college football level more than anything in the world. I loved this guy all those years ago. I feel like that was a decade ago when he was at UCF. I want to see him come back. I want to see him play. Norvell, if you're listening, play him. With that being said, you tell me I got to make a pick. Man, I'm not betting against this Irish team. I still think they're good. I think Brian Kelly is an elite coach in college football, and I think they've been recruiting well enough. They have no short of talent. The fact that they lose a bunch of guys to the NFL every year, it doesn't. They're not Alabama. They're not Ohio State. They're not Clemson. They're not the revolving door. But they're also not falling apart at the seams because they lose a bunch of dudes. I think Jack Cohn is going to be the best version of Jack Cohn that we've ever seen because he's finally under an offensive-minded coach that knows what he's doing and that I trust. I like the Irish.
Paul Christ. Shots at Paul Christ.
What? Huh?
Shots at Paul Christ, man.
No, and it's not a shot. Listen, if you're the 10th best offensive coach in the world and you're getting beat by the 3rd offensive coach in the world, there's not a shot there. No, I don't think Paul Christ is the 10th offensive coach in the world.
Just giving you a hard time. Don't worry.
He might be the 10th in the Big Ten. Neither here nor there. That's a shot. That is a shot. I like this Irish team. I really do. I think they're going to be much better than a lot of people have them. A lot of people have this team being the top 10 team to finish not in the top 25 every year. That kind of happens, and they're the happy pick for it. I don't see it happening. I don't see them falling off that much. Mike Norvell, start Mackenzie Milton. Doesn't matter.
My next game is one that we talked about on Monday. The Raging Cajuns of Louisiana heading to Austin to take on Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. Hudson Card was named the starting quarterback for Texas. He's young. He's very young. Sark is going young. I just, until I see what Sark is planning to do, I mean, he's a great offensive coach, no doubt about it. Until I see it on the field, I like Billy Napier. I like what Louisiana is doing. They play with grit. They play with determination. I've seen this line anywhere from 8 to 9.5 in favor of Texas. So if you're looking to make a play, head on over to sportsbookreview.com and find the number that makes you happiest. And I say, go for it. Louisiana is my pick.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and this is a great line to talk about that on. It's the beauty of what SBR offers, right? Is you get there, and if you like Texas, why in the hell would you lay the 9.5 when you could find an 8? What, get yourself the extra half, point and a half, and vice versa. If you like Louisiana, why are you playing the 8 when you get the 9.5? The juice is usually about the same, close enough. Find the sports book, pick them out. We're going to finish this thing off Monday night. My Ole Miss Rebels playing Louisville in Atlanta. The Lane Train is something of an enigma. It is fun. They put up a lot of points. When they get out in front of people, it's we call it the Lane Train for a reason. When that locomotive gets going, it's really hard to stop it. It's really hard to catch up to it. If Louisville doesn't, I know that Ole Miss's defense is bad. Okay, I know that. If Louisville doesn't start off fast, then they're going to have a hard time, because I believe Ole Miss is going to start off fast. I don't think Louisville's defense is very good. I think Scott Satterfield is doing the best job that he can in what seems to be a little bit of a chaotic situation there at Louisville, and this number's gotten big. Okay, this number opened around a touchdown. It is now 10. You probably get 10.5 or 11 at some places. The best number I could find was 10. I'm taking the 10. I'm taking Ole Miss. I'm taking Lane. I think Matt Corral is going to be in people's conversation at the end of the year. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but I think he's going to be in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy at the end of this year. This is one team where I don't think you have to be undefeated or win 10 games to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation. I think he's going to put up such obscene numbers that if they can get to 7 or 8 wins, not amazing season, then I think he's getting a ticket to New York. Might be wrong on that. I like it. I'm going with what I think is the better coach. I'm going with what I think is the better quarterback. Give me Matt Corral. Give me the Rebels minus the 10. Let me tell you else. This total, this is the biggest total that I've seen all day so far, 75.5. I will tell you, I am staying as far away from that as possible.
Oh, yeah.
There's a world where Louisville scores 35 and gets beat by 20. That world's available and real. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. But I do love Ole Miss. I do love them going down to Atlanta, and that's the last rapid fire game. Sam.
Yes.
We're going to move into our best bets. These are our picks. We're going to run through them quick as you can. I've got 5. You've got 5. You start us off.
We're going to start off UTSA heading to Champaign, Illinois, take on Brett Bielema and the Nebraska Beaters. I like the Roadrunners to go in. I think this is a letdown spot for Illinois. 5.5 is, they're 5.5 point dogs. I like UTSA to cover.
All right. I am starting off in Southern California, and I'm going to take USC Trojans minus 14 against San Jose State. We got to see San Jose State early. San Jose State beat the crap out of an CS team.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. And you know what? I have an opinion this year, and I've worked through it in my mind, and what I believe is last year most of these smaller schools didn't get to play big boy Power 5 football. Okay? They all played within their own conference. I think the first time they get hit by somebody bigger, stronger, and faster than them is going to be a shock to their system. I don't think they're going to be prepared for it. I think there's a reason. I don't think Hawaii is as bad as we thought they were last week. I think Hawaii got hit in the face by a team that's bigger, stronger, and faster than them, and it's been over a year since they've had that happen. I think San Jose State, who is a team I like a lot in the Mountain West, doesn't matter. I think USC is much bigger. They're much stronger. They're much faster. I think they're better coached. I think USC is going to beat the brains out of them.
My next pick, you talked about it already. I'm going with Notre Dame, 7.5 in Florida State. Notre Dame's just a better team than Florida State. Like you said, I really hope we see Mackenzie Milton. I think he's a phenomenal person. He is a great quarterback. Hopefully he's recovered. I mean, that was a grisly injury. If he's back, if he's 100%, I would love to see him get back on the field and play. But Notre Dame is easily 7.5 points better than Florida State. So that is my pick number 2.
Not going to spend much time on this. Louisiana going into Texas. I just talked about little schools playing big schools, and they didn't do it much last year. Louisiana's one of the teams that did. They went into Iowa State, and they manhandled Iowa State from the start of that game to the end of that game, and they never trailed, not one time. I don't know that they go into Texas and they do that. I don't think they go into Texas and they beat them. But you tell me I get almost a 10-point head start. I'm taking Billy Napier and I'm taking the Raging Cajuns, and I will tell you, I will have a little bit of money sprinkled on this money line. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility that they come away with the win.
My next one, we're going to the marquee game, Clemson and Georgia. I'm going with the Tigers. Give me Clemson, 3 points over Georgia. It could go either way, and I could very easily be totally wrong on this, but my gut says that DJ Uiagalelei and the Tigers are going to take it to the Bulldogs.
There you go. All right. Just broke it down in the rapid-fire games. My Ole Miss Rebels. Lane Kiffin, one more time into the drink with Lane. I'm laying 10. It's a big number. I do not care. I think this team, when they win games, I think they're going to beat the crap out of people. When they lose games, I think they're going to be tighter, contested games because when you can score, it's really hard to get blown out. I think they're going to win this game, which means I think they got a potential to beat the crap out of Louisville. I could be wrong on it, but I am going to shoot my shot with Lane.
My next game, we are going with the Cincinnati Bearcats, 22-point favorites over Miami, Ohio. Cincinnati is a damn fine football team. They're going to be in the conversation. They're going to be one of the teams left out of the playoff because it's only 4 teams. And they're not going to like it. They were salty about it from last season. They're going to keep being salty about it. And Miami, Ohio is not going to do anything to stop them. Yeah, give me the Bearcats by 22.
Next game up, I'm going to the state of Texas again. Houston Cougars, Texas Tech Red Raiders. Had to think about, I wanted to call them the Long Raiders, which is really weird and a totally different game. Matt Wells, I just do not think is a very good head coach. I think that was a mistake hire. Maybe he's a really good head coach and he just can't get talent down in Lubbock. We've seen it happen before. It's a hard place to recruit. I think Dana Holgorsen has finally got the team he wants in Houston the way he wants it. It has taken him a couple of years to recruit, build. He had a lot of chaos and turnover when he first took over. Guys opted out. This was before COVID. These were just guys that didn't want to play football for him. De'Aaron King, one of them, transferred away. I think this Houston Cougars team is going to be a lot better than people think. They're plus 1.5. I get plus odds on a team that I think is the better team, and I think the team that's going to win the ball game. I'm taking the plus points. Give me Dana. Give me the Cougars all day long.
Are they really going to make a Big 12 team mad when they're trying to get into the Big 12 themselves?
Well, you can't make them happy by losing them on purpose.
That's so true. My last pick, I am taking the Tar Heels of North Carolina going into Blacksburg, 5.5-point favorites. I think UNC is a really, really good team. Justin Fuente just hasn't gotten it going at Vatech the way I think they all wanted it to. Give me the. I'll lay the 5.5, and take North Carolina over Virginia Tech.
All right, I'm going to comment one thing on this because I didn't get to talk about the North Carolina game at all. Not a gambling pick of mine on here. Not one of my 5. It's not my last pick. But I think I do like Blacksburg. I think I do like Vautech. Okay. I think that's going to be a crazy home crowd. And I think there's a world where this North Carolina hype train has gotten a little too hyped up. I think they might be getting a little too big for the britches too quickly. Might be wrong on that. Just want to give my opinion on that one game. And I'm finishing this thing off. I'm going down to L.A. Baton Rouge has basically moved into Los Angeles for the next couple of weeks. I don't know when they're going to get to play at home in Baton Rouge. I know this. There's going to be enough people there in that crowd to be a home field game for LSU. LSU's going into Los Angeles, and they are going to kick the crap out of the Bruins. Guys, we appreciate you joining us. Went a little long today. This is the Big Game Show. We got a lot of information. We got a lot of games that we're trying to hit. We want to give you the most information that we can. If you need anything from us, you can find us on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are right there below each one of us. You can look us up, ask us questions. We'll get to them as soon as we can. Meet us back Saturday morning live, 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We will be on YouTube at SBR Picks. You can find it right here on this channel. We'll be breaking down the games right before kickoff happens on the big Saturday games.
I might be a little groggy because I will have been at the Northwestern Michigan State game the night before. So if I got big circles under my eyes, please don't hold that against me. If I'm salty, you'll know why.
That's different. All right. Well, I appreciate it. For SBR Picks.com, I'm Chris.
I'm Sam.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.